Welcome to Cinecaps. Today I will show you a thriller, horror film from 2024 titled Humane. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. In the aftermath of the world's ecological collapse, life has become a grim struggle against the relentless sun's UV rays. People shield themselves with umbrellas, while water, once abundant, has become a rare and precious resource. The government has introduced a controversial euthanasia enlistment program, enticing individuals to end their own lives in exchange for a substantial payout for their loved ones. With the situation growing increasingly dire, world leaders have mandated that 20% of the population must be euthanized by the year's end. However, with only 3 months remaining, the compliance rate stands at a meager 9%, far below the target. Charles is a retired wealthy newsman. He has invited his grown children to make a shocking announcement that no one is ready for. As his wife, Dawn, a professional chef, prepares dinner with ingredients now considered scarce, the father empties all of his alcohol into the sink, savoring one final glass before reflecting on his children's past. Jared, the eldest son, is a cocky anthropologist professor who believes the law doesn't apply to him. Using his father's wealth, he has made a name for himself, even appearing on national television. His daughter, Rachel, has brought her daughter Mia with her, despite Charles clearly stating that it's adults-only evening. Rachel considers Charles more of a nuisance and can't wait for him to disappear. Meanwhile, Noah, the adopted child, finds himself hesitant to approach the house and seeks comfort from his girlfriend through a video call. He has significant news to share himself, but doesn't wish to overshadow his father's moment. Just as Noah contemplates leaving, his sister Ashley arrives, urging him to join the gathering. Ashley proudly announces her commercial audition for a video game, her nonchalant demeanor bringing a sense of ease to Noah. While Ashley fetches a jacket, she notices text messages between Noah and his girlfriend. Noah reveals his big secret: he met her through recovering addicts meetings. Noah wishes to keep his relationship private for now. Ashley and Noah have shared a close bond since childhood. She promises he can count on her. Coming into the house, Noah is apprehensive about facing potential backlash from his father, but to his surprise, he is warmly welcomed by Charles. Finally, it's time for dinner. Dawn serves a spectacular Japanese appetizer. It's like a work of art. Charles raises his glass, expressing his gratitude for everyone gathering this evening, and apologizes for his work keeping him too busy to spend time with all of his children. Rachel can't help but make a snarky remark, which surprisingly, Charles agrees with, catching his children off guard with his uncharacteristic attitude. Just as the dinner is coming to a close, Noah gathers his willpower to announce his news, but before he could, Rachel wants to know why the F Charles has gathered them all here. Finally, Charles breaks the news: he and Dawn have decided to enlist. The weight of this announcement hits the kids hard, and Rachel quickly urges Mia to go watch TV. As tensions rise, Rachel starts running her mouth, prompting Charles to snap. That's the father they all know and love. Charles then calmly explains that the government is forcibly enlisting people, and he doesn't want to see his children drafted. However, Jared counters, pointing out that the legislation only permits one person per family to be drafted, meaning they would be safe if Charles took the hit when someone would be called. Still, Charles refuses to listen, believing this is the right thing to do. Dawn then explains that since both Charles and she are public figures, it would set an example. But Ashley doesn't buy it, believing it's Charles' last effort to leave some kind of legacy so he would be remembered. Noah snaps. Just as their father apologized for not spending enough time with them, he goes on to say he wants to enlist. Later, Noah shares his belief that the government is lying about the low enlistment numbers, trying to persuade his father not to go through with it. However, Jared dismisses it as just another of Noah's conspiracy theories. Jared fully supports the program, believing the government has no reason to lie about it, which makes Charles question how much Jared really understands. People are pointing fingers and refusing to take accountability, including Jared, who keeps downplaying Noah and associating him with junkies. Ashley has had enough and accidentally blurts out about Noah having a recovered girlfriend. Jared scoffs. But after Noah shows Charles her picture, his father comments on how lovely she looks. Charles is happy to see Noah doing better. As he goes to find Dawn, he comes back with only a note. In the note, Dawn apologizes, saying she can't go through with the enlistment. Suddenly the doorbell rings. Mia answers it, finding the Department of Citizen Strategy, or DOCS. They're there to collect people who enlist. Charles wants to delay their enlistment, but he can't even speak as Bob keeps yapping, confusing the family with his cheerful attitude. Charles invites him inside and explains how Dawn got cold feet, and he doesn't want to go through with the procedure alone, asking Bob to come back another time. There's a long pause as Bob's demeanor suddenly changes, and he asks Charles to speak in private. In Charles' office, Bob hands him the cancellation form. As Bob surveys the virtuous life Charles has led, Charles carefully goes over the documents. Suddenly, he jumps up, proclaiming that he can't agree to such terms. But the contents doesn't leave him much choice. As Noah plays a beautiful piece on the piano, Charles' children struggle to understand what changed, why he suddenly decided to go through with it without Dawn. As Bob administers the serum, Charles doesn't reveal much, he simply expresses his love to his children and wishes them well, and slowly falls asleep forever. With the kids still in mourning, Bob delivers more shocking news: he needs a second body. Noah tries to send Bob away, but an armed team enters. Bob explains that they have 2 hours before the next appointment. Mia is exempt from selection due to her age, but the others face a grim reality. Docs, a private company hired by the government, pays for each enlistment. Jared's threats to contact higher-ups are futile. The electronics are disabled, rendering outside help impossible. It's revealed that Charles never signed the cancellation papers because doing so would result in frozen bank accounts, loss of assets, and imprisonment for life. Bob profits either way. In a desperate attempt to influence the situation, Jared mentions his connections to powerful people, but Bob remains unfazed, stating that the rules apply to everyone. To aid in the selection process, Bob presents personal notes on each family member, compiled from their digital footprint. The revelations are damning. Jared's son wishes for his father to enlist, Rachel faces professional and personal struggles, and Mia is targeted by bullies. Rachel's frustration boils over, leading her to punch Bob. Left with the decision, the family must choose who will take Dawn's place. If they can't decide, Bob will make the choice for them. As the guards patrol outside and Bob occupies himself with solitaire, Charles' children retreat to their respective rooms to review their files. Ashley is devastated to find her career labeled as insignificant, prompting a fit of frustration. Meanwhile, Rachel begins to contemplate alternative solutions, and Jared experiences a panic attack. Gathering by the stairs, Jared suggests that Noah should be the one to go, citing his status as the adopted child and his history of substance abuse, plus the car crash claiming one life. However, Ashley counters by proposing they put it to a vote, nominating Jared. As tensions escalate between Ashley and Jared, Rachel watches with a knowing smile. Noah finally speaks up, apologizing for being a burden on the family, but expressing how he has since turned his life around and found love, giving him hope for the future. He urges them to face this challenge together. However, Rachel dismisses Noah's heartfelt plea, suggesting he shove his emotional story where the sun doesn't shine. The guards outside notice the porch light flicker, indicating that Charles' children have reached a decision. Leaving Mia alone, Bob enters the house with a smile, ready to execute the chosen one. However, the children have a question for him. How will Bob determine who will die? Bob confidently explains that he has a foolproof system, drawing straws. Rachel asks if it would suffice if they presented him with a body. Sensing her implication, Bob replies that he could figure something out. Bob returns to all his cards torn. Mia did it, because Bob's a bully. Inside, Rachel expresses her discomfort with the 1 in 4 chance of dying tonight. She reflects on her distant relationship with her siblings, admitting that she feels closer to her nail lady than to them. Then, she suddenly pulls out a knife and lunges at Noah, accusing him of not deserving their father's wealth. Jared, unsurprisingly, sides with her. Rachel's plan hinges on persuading Ashley to join forces with them, arguing that if she wants to live, this is her best chance. As Ashley clenches her teeth in silence, Noah interjects, "Nice try, but we're stronger than that." Ashley suddenly passes the knife back to Rachel. Oh, how the turnings have tabled. Then, Ashley drops a bombshell. She stumbled upon an email from their father. He had paid off the family to drop charges related to a car crash, to the tune of $3 million. Jared grabs a fireplace poker for himself, while Rachel tosses Ashley some pepper spray. The 3 siblings encircle Noah, but instead of waiting for them to make a move, Noah strikes first. He makes a dash for the next room, but Jared is hot on his heels. Armed with a trophy, Noah knocks Jared to the ground and pleads with Ashley to reconsider. However, Ashley has already made up her mind. As Noah runs, Rachel lunges a knife at him. Meanwhile, Bob is fixing the cards with a stapler. As Mia goes to the bathroom, through radio Bob is notified that his team has secured Dawn. Bob quietly tells them to bring her to HQ, with only profit on his mind. He intends to secure another body from the house. Noah sustained some serious injuries, with the adrenaline to survive being his only chance at survival right now. In the bedroom, Noah's thoughts turn to his girlfriend. With determination, he sends her a message. Then, with a flick of his wrist, he tosses the phone far from the jammer's reach. Calm down. Noah arms himself and cautiously descends the stairs. As he navigates through the tranquil house, his senses on high alert, he suddenly catches a sound emanating from the main floor. Alert and armed, Noah methodically scans the room. Whirling around, he spots a shadow lurking behind the door. It's Ashley. Startled, she stutters out an apology for her earlier actions, admitting she's unsure of what came over her. Noah interrupts her. He's determined to resolve the situation peacefully, despite Ashley's warning about them having Dawn's knives. Still holding on to a glimmer of trust in Ashley, he instructs her to stay behind him. Ashley directs Noah's attention to a cherished photo, invoking memories of their close bond they once had. But it's a distraction. Rachel seizes the moment and nails Noah's hand to the picture. As Noah begs Ashley to help him, she flees away. Freeing himself, he falls into the adjacent room. Grabbing a bat, he neutralizes Jared, and as Rachel attacks his makeshift armor, he forks her. Once again Jared, who has done absolutely nothing throughout this whole time, starts to yap about how he isn't the bad guy here. Noah just cracks a few nuts and keeps walking. Turns out the sweetheart from the very start was a cunning witch. Ashley finally is able to incapacitate Noah. Back in the RV, Bob attempts to connect with Mia, but his mention of social media backlash against her mother triggers her. Despite her disrespectful attitude, Bob remains composed, attempting to convey the disparity between her privileged lifestyle and that of less fortunate families. He questions Mia about whether it's wrong to get rid of terrible people like her family, but Mia understands that's not what it's about. Bob simply enjoys witnessing death. Back at the house, instead of just finishing the job, they tie Noah up. Despite his vulnerability, none of them can muster the will to end his life. Noah's choice to trust in their better nature influences them. They settle on a collective decision to act on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Suddenly, a horn blares from outside. It's Grace, Noah's girlfriend. Grace captures the scene on video, offering a glimmer of hope to the siblings who believe they've been rescued. However, Mia's actions escalate the tension further. Grace rushes to seek assistance, but Bob commands his men to stop her. Rachel assumes Grace will serve as the second body, instead of Dawn, but Bob won't let this fly, forcing them back inside. Inside the house, the trio ultimately decides to eliminate Noah, convinced they're doing him a favor since Grace is now dead. However, as they ascend the stairs, Noah is gone. Suddenly, the power cuts out. Armed with weapons from the kitchen, the trio cautiously searches for Noah, unaware that he's right behind them, having witnessed the fate of his girlfriend. Upon opening a door, Ashley encounters Noah, who mercilessly stabs her. He then turns his attention to Jared, cutting him up before ultimately confronting Rachel, stabbing her through her cheek. As Noah goes to strangle Ashley, Rachel begs him to stop. She volunteers to go through the procedure. She is a terrible mother, begging Noah to take care of Mia. Suddenly Jared also volunteers. As the eldest, he should take responsibility. He apologizes for being a bad brother. Then Ashley explains that she has nothing to live for. She will do it. But Noah had enough. No one is volunteering. Noah wants to kill Bob. They quickly close up Ashley's wound with hot metal. Psych, didn't work. So Jared goes again and Ashley passes out. With time running out, Bob enters the house to see the outcome. He discovers Ashley's lifeless body and proceeds to carefully inspect the trio for any concealed weapons. However, as Bob's guard momentarily lowers his defense, Ashley stabs him. The others retrieve stashed weapons and hold Bob and the guard hostage. Jared takes charge, gathering machine guns from the other guards. Ashley loses consciousness and Bob tries to take advantage of the situation, only to be swiftly knocked out by Jared. As Bob awakens, bound to a bed, he maintains his facade of control, warning them of dire consequences if any dock's employees are harmed. Well, since it will happen anyway, there is no reason to leave anyone alive. After some harsh words from Mia, Bob finally starts to realize that he's about to die and starts to plead for his life. But they already tested the serum. They forgot to remove the air. He mentions that they have Dawn at the HQ, but that doesn't really help his case. Noah, unmoved by Bob's words, administers the serum. Some time later, Noah rises to fame as a renowned pianist, and this harrowing experience brings the family even closer together. Oh, and Bob is still alive too. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this.